Welcome back to Lovin Sheila, the podcast, and it is great to be back with you today. There's been a lot that has happened since our last full podcast, but we'll try and catch up a little. First, I feel like I've neglected something on the podcast, and that is social media. Follow me on Lovin Sheila G at Instagram, or Lovin Sheila the podcast on Instagram, or Lovin Sheila on TikTok. We're trying to inspire and motivate and sharing a lot of lifestyle content on all of those avenues and excerpts from our shows, quick little 1 minute bites that I think might be valuable just to give you some quick encouragement daily. So check me out on my social media. I would love to see you on there, love to see you follow me. Um, so now that we've got that out the way, I have been vacationing a little bit over the last couple weeks. Took a little trip to one of my favorite places, and I seem to go there every year, and sometimes couple times a year. And I found, and everyone that knows me knows, this is my happy place, and it makes me happy. I feel good there. I feel revitalized, refreshed, and ready, like I talked about when I was there when I did my quick short. I feel I feel beautiful. I feel like a way that I can accept myself just as I am. You know, there's a lot of fear and trepidation every time you get your bathing suits on and you want to go out, and we all have our insecurities, and I certainly have mine. But I noticed, like, as the week ended, I just started to feel less and less inhibited, and I was just like, forget it. This is who I am. I worked hard just to be what I am and whatever. And so I'm just gonna be confident in it. And once I really I'll just say this. It feels good to be confident. And I think I've struggled with that throughout my life, different times with different things about, because I've always wanted more from myself. I wanted to be thinner or thicker or whatever the case may be. And I just got to a place where when I was there, where I just kind of accepted, okay, this it is what it is. I am who I am. I'm beautiful. I have to love me. If I don't love me, who will? That's why I said, if loving me is wrong, I don't want to be right. Because I'm just going to focus on me and my happiness and loving me and feeling wonderful and beautiful and concentrating on the things that make me happy, and all the things, the work and whatnot, and the stressors of life, I can leave those behind. We all need a time of refreshing, to be revitalized, renewed, and to essentially get us ready for what we must take on in our day-to-day lives. So, go out and book your trip, get your vacation attire ready. I'll say I did find a new Arc swimwear, and they thoroughly impressed me, and I was thoroughly loving my new bikini. I'll show it to you here. So if you like it, it fits good, it looks good, and I am a fan, and they had great customer service. So go get you some Arc swimwear and ARK swimwear. I'm gonna give them a shout out. It's not paid, it's just because I liked it, and I'm just sharing with you, because I want us all to feel our best and get those things that make us feel our best. And that's where I was. So I was feeling great, feeling wonderful, feeling beautiful, feeling refreshed. Did some horseback riding. I hadn't done that since I was a child. I don't know that I would do it again. It was an experience, but life is for living. And last year when I was vacationing and I was listening to that song, "Mend the Broken Heart," and I was like, I want to live again. And that's what this is. This podcast is all about. It's a lifestyle. It's letting us know that there is life after heartache, life after heartbreak, life after some of your dreams being destroyed, or life after divorce. There is life to be lived, and it's there for us to take. And we have to do it. We can't sit around, bellyache and cry and whatnot. We have to take it by the balls and just go for it. There is love to be had. There is no licking of our wounds. There's a time for everything, And certainly there's a time to heal. And as I mentioned previously, healing is ongoing. Today, as I sit here and I tell you I had a great trip, I enjoyed myself. I loved on myself. I feel like I'm being loved properly. All those things at the same time. The healing journey is um, is not linear. Like I mentioned before, it's going to take you through some ups and some downs and whatnot. So though we're healing, we can still go out there and live our life and try and be our best self. That's what I encourage us all to do. I had, when I was on vacation, I got an email and I didn't want to read it. Okay. I knew I shouldn't read it because that's what this episode is going to be about, triggers. I knew I shouldn't read it, and I sat on it for a little while, but eventually I read it, and it just set me off and put my mind where I didn't want to go. And so that's what I want to encourage us all to do. It's like we have power. We have power to control our thoughts and our mind and what we want to concentrate on. And during those few days, I wanted to really concentrate on me and living and having fun and getting in the ocean and just chilling and vibing out and that kind of thing. I did play a little tennis with my son. We had a full match, 3 sets, very strenuous tennis, and it was fun and it was hot and it was humid, but we did it. So I got some activity in. So a lot of activities, between the horse racing, the lazy river, not horse racing, horseback riding, the lazy river, a little tennis, a lot of beach time. And a lot of times I sit around when I'm on vacations and I reflect. But I didn't really reflect on anything. I didn't look at, oh, this is where I've been. This is where I'm going. It was really about being present in the moment. Like, even though I was sometimes I went too far taking selfies or whatever, but it was really about the moment. I wasn't like, oh, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm plotting out my future and I'm planning. I didn't do that. And I didn't look back and say, oh, I was really sad last time I was here. Or, what happened last time I was here. Didn't do that. I was right there in the moment. I was present in the experience. And that's something I think I've neglected so many times in my life because I'm always thinking, oh gosh, what's next? What do I have to do? What's waiting for me? And what's that going to be like? I guess it's anxiety, the anxiety of life. And I was thankful that there was no anxiety about what's coming next, that I was fully participating in my present situation. Though I missed, my loved ones back home, my sweetie and all that, I was content to enjoy myself where I was. And that is, again, growth for me. I wasn't busy making phone calls and checking on everyone. I was like checking on me. And I was doing really fine out there. So, take a minute, all of you, take some time, get the refreshing that you need. Vacate the home and vacate your mind and refresh it. I can't say that enough. It is necessary. When I came back, the very next day, I came back and I noticed that the new season of what is it, Unprisoned was out, and I kind of liked Unprisoned last season because I could relate. It was the psychology of it all, the dealing with your little child. Those things resonated with me. So when Unprisoned came out, I was kind of excited to see that, oh, it's back on. Let me go check it out. And so I did. So my first day back home, I watched the full eight episodes of the season and just vegged out and just chilled. And it was cool. Different moments. I always enjoy watching shows where I can like put myself in it, that I identify. And at different times, I certainly identified with her. And there was one particular episode, it was called something Trigger Happy or something like that. I think it was episode 5, and it was talking about triggers. And maybe I'll share a little bit of something that was funny to me because, as I mentioned earlier, I got this email. And this email that I got on my vacation took me down a little bit of a rabbit hole. And I never say that word, that's not a term that I use, but I was on the rabbit hole. And no matter what, every time I talked about it, I just went downhill, spiraled downhill. And that's not quite what we want to do. But what I realized and I knew already, but that I was triggered by it. It just took me where I didn't want to do. And so as I was watching Unprisoned, she was talking about triggers, and she mentioned that it's kind of like a metal detector, you know. And when it hits, it's like, okay, the metal detector, oh, there's something there. And so that resonated with me, and that's something that I wanted to spend a little time with, because on this journey, I could be having the time of my life as I was on my vacation. I was having the time of my life. I was enjoying the company I was with. I was enjoying the things that we were doing. And then this happened, and I allowed it in. So again, that's another lesson. Be careful what you allow access to. We know what's triggering for us. We know that. So if there's something that we know is triggering, we know that doesn't bring out our happy place or messes with our peace, because we have to protect our peace, then let's make sure that we have the boundaries set up so that they don't have access to you, that it cannot. A boundary for me would have been that I'm not doing emails until I get back home. There's some things that need to be addressed, but I'll address them when I get home. And, because that's effectively what I did. I addressed it when I got home, so it could wait. So an effective boundary is for me that I am not going to allow these things to infiltrate my peaceful place and my safe place, because I think what we work for is to have a safe place. And so remember that we're concentrating on building our safe place. And that's what I had when I took my vacation. That's what I have when I come home to my place of grace, peace, and restoration. That's what I call it, as a safe place. And so we are in control of our safe place. We set the boundaries of who gets access to our safe place. That's all within our control. And so we have to remember that. People are going to call you, they may email you, they may send you letters, whatever they may do. But remember, you control who has access to you and what kind of access they have and what your response is. Again, I've talked about it in the last episode about reacting versus response. So my reaction, what happened to me on vacation, was I reacted and I spiraled and I went down, and I told my girlfriends. And as I went, and the reason I know it was triggering is because as I get started, it's just a vicious circle of more and more. It sounds really bitter because I start thinking about every little thing. So, so anyway, I think I digressed a little bit, but talking about triggers. So that was a trigger for me. And like I said, she said it was a bit of a metal detector. And so you'll know as you go through life, as you go through your healing journey, when things sting a little bit, when they kind of hit you a little, stir up something in you and prick you and bring about things that you weren't even thinking about before. You could have been just going peacefully along your day. I went to the Venice Beach this week, and I was sitting there and I was just watching people having a good time, and then I thought of something. Like the last time I was here, I just had this negative experience with some like the motor scooters or whatever you call them. It was just a really bad, intense, anxiety building experience, and it should not have been, but it was. And then it was like, oh, I was just having such a great time, and now I'm thinking about this scooter incident. And so it just goes to show how things can just come out of nowhere. And so a lot of times they might be triggered by, like they be talking about this neural pathways, and maybe just things that you associate with, like I was associating the beach with the negative experience I had with the scooters. So it kind of takes you back to that thing. And then you have to be vigilant and make sure that, you're not allowing that to take over. And, I think, and you just never know. I mean, I will say I just never know when it's going to occur, because as I'm sitting there having a wonderful time, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's astonishing. And so I think the greatest thing we have is our self-awareness. But as we go further and further on our development and our healing, and you start to do better and better, really you just never know what's going to, like, it's like rolling the dice. You never know what you're going to get. You're never going to know where it's going to, you never know where it's going to come from. And that has been my experience. But what I would say is walk through it with some awareness, um, be compassionate with yourself, um, and don't go back and don't relive it and don't blame yourself. One of the things that was triggering to me, it's a lawsuit, and I was saying to myself, and it's really weird because it all started because I watched a show on TV, and someone went on the television show. We got more involved with, and it just became a big triggering event. And I was thinking, if I had never, this is what I thought this week, if I had never watched that show, this would have never happened. And but I realized that was me kind of blaming me and putting fault on me. But who could know those things? And so I was just triggered, and when you're triggered, you want to deal with it. And that's another thing that she said on the show. So she said, "Am I ready to start digging this?" And that took me back to what I've been saying to you all as I'm trying to get to my best self, to be my best, most healed, most delivered, all that. I'm excavating and I'm bringing up a lot of things that I did not even know they were there. And so, pretty much, they're on the same page as me. He's like, "Are you ready to start digging?" And my answer is yes. I want to dig it up because I don't want these minefields, because that's what it feels like. It's a minefield. You are going about your life, you're doing what you do, and all of a sudden, something out of nowhere just triggers you. And that is painful. It's painful because for me, I'm really trying to design my life the way that I want it. And I hope that you are too. We're trying to make it what we want it to be, and be in control. And we do that with our boundaries and just really focusing on us. And then when something comes in, these minefields come in, it has the potential to throw you off your game. And so we have to proactively evaluate different things that we're going through. So I think that way we'll be less triggered. So as we're excavating and kind of going through the different levels, we deal with the surface, and then we get a little deeper and a little deeper and a little deeper. And we're gonna have to go really deep if we're gonna bring it all out. Because I don't want to be, I don't want to be, I don't know what to say. I don't want to be in anything where these things are messing up my peace, or I'm having to fight within myself, because that's what it becomes. Dealing with these triggers can be a fight with yourself to maintain. But I'm not trying to maintain, I'm trying to gain ground. So in order to gain ground, it's going to take some time that we spend with ourselves, excavating, understanding different things, becoming more aware, and then setting the boundaries so that we can be in a safe place. That's what I'm taking away from this, because I don't want to be triggered. It's not fun. I don't even like me, the triggered version of me, when I start going down this road and nobody understands. I had someone was telling me something. Someone made some comments about me and the way I was living, or how I raised my son or whatnot, and I was just like really, really triggered. And I said, what did I say? I don't know what I said, because I was so triggered. I just started spewing off venom, pretty much. And I shared it with my therapist, and she's like, the only response you have is just to say, "I'm very confident in how I raised my son." So it kind of goes back to, just like I said, when I was on the beach in my bikini, confidence works magic. And so not only will you be confident with what you perceive as your flaws, be confident in how you raise your children, be confident in the decisions you make, and then you can stand, 10 toes down, flat footed, and just be assertive. And that's where I'm trying to be. So now I'm trying to get to this assertive place, because when I first started with you, I was like, oh, I realized there were a lot of times in my life where I was passive, and it really benefited me nothing. Okay, all I did was give up ground. So I'm no longer interested in being passive. Even in this thing that triggers me, this lawsuit thing. I mean, I've been passive because I was like, I just wanted it to go away. I let the other people handle it. And then even when I did get back, I said, okay, no more of that. We're going to take an active role because I know too much for me to sit back and let everyone else handle things. It only took me a year to get there. It took me a year to get there, but I was so busy dealing with other things in my life that I couldn't focus on that. But now she's got time and she's here for it. So now it's time to make my presence felt. So no, and I guess you have to build your strength. Sometimes you have to deal with what you have to deal with that's right before you can, deal with those things that really need your attention, but maybe you're not equipped for it. Because like I said, there's levels to this and levels to the healing. Before it was so menacing and so troubling and so triggering, I felt like I don't want to touch that for my own sanity. But over this week, when I got back on Monday, I was like, okay, I'm going to deal with this. And I said, and I'm tired of being triggered. Okay, I'm tired of being triggered. I said, I'm going to pull the trigger. And I don't know, I felt in my mind, it felt very profound. I said, I'm going to pull the trigger. Like things are always triggering me. Let me initiate something. So let me stop being passive and let me be assertive and say what I have to say. And just like I've been triggered, people are not going to be happy where I'm coming from in my thoughts, but I'm going to share them. And if nothing more than to get it off my chest, to free my mind, and it was liberating. And so I'm like, I'm not going to be triggered anymore. I'm going to start pulling triggers. And I'm not trying to offend anyone, not necessarily trying to hurt anyone. But in the past, I've taken on everyone's offense. I've taken on the hurt. I've taken on the pain. I've taken on the challenges and whatnot. And now it's time, these are boundaries again. Now it's time, like, no, you don't get to just do that. You don't get to say that. You don't get to have that narrative. I'm pushing back. And so now we're pushing back and we're extending our space. We're extending our walls. We're letting them know that they can't go any further. Like, okay, that's far enough, and I'm going to stop you right there. And that's where we are right now. So I'm done with all being triggered all the time, and it actually imposing on my peace and my fun and my joy and my happiness. No more, no mas. I'm done with that. I'm going to take better care of me, and I'm going to make sure that I'm pushing back and I'm drawing the lines and letting anyone know that not with Sheila, because I love me and I'm taking better care of myself. And yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do and take better care of myself. And so I'm not going to be reactive, I'm going to be proactive, and I'm going to be proactive about designing the life that I want. And that is a life that is peaceful and joyful, and that I can freely embark on, living, and without these landmines showing up. We talked previously about being steamrolled. I'm done with that steamrolling. And now I'm going to deal with these landmines that show up. I'm done with that too. This is designing life that I want with purpose. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm trying to keep my mind free. I like to go hike. I go hiking 5 days a week and just, think about things, reflect, and kind of see where I am, and plot and do production meetings for Lovin Sheila. Think about what I'm going to talk about. I come home and I do my wall Pilates and trying to get a little stronger and strengthen that core, and do some weightlifting, just because it's time. I really neglected weightlifting for many years, and now it's like it's time to work on the upper body strength. I want to feel strong, empowered. My honey and I are going to work on boxing. We're going to do some boxing training. I'm excited about that. So then I'll really be dangerous, and that's what I want to be. I want to be mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and I should have put spiritually at the top, strong and dangerous and bold and empowered. And that's what I want all of us to do together. Also, I got quite a few this month. I've got some encouraging texts from many folks just saying, it was encouraging to see you, what you're doing, or keep it up. You don't know how many people you're helping. And though our ministry, I'll call it, is small, it's growing. And I'm grateful for all of you who are listening, and I'm grateful for the feedback. It definitely encourages me to continue on. I love that. So keep the feedback coming. I appreciate it. And I'm happy that we had this time together on Lovin Sheila. I hope you're encouraged. Remember, we're going to be proactive and not reactive. And we're not going to, because our reactive is more reacting to triggers. And we want to have peaceful lives. And being triggered is not contributing to our peaceful lives. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to go to lonewolfbodywear.com and get your Lovin' Me tank. It's only $10 for our listeners. Use the promo code podcast or Lovin Sheila. Don't forget to follow me on social media. And until the next time, thank you for watching Lovin Sheila, the podcast.